Lately, I've been finding myself hesitant to identify myself as a functional medicine practitioner. There have been so many clients coming to me saying, functional medicine didn't work for me. They'll try one, two, three, four, multiple practitioners and programs that are quote unquote functional medicine, but they will fail them multiple times. There can be a million reasons why those programs or practitioners didn't work. But because of those failures that those people are going through, there's some serious mistrust that I'm seeing be built between functional medicine practitioners and honestly just holistic or alternative health practitioners and people trying to heal. This is not a problem happening just to a handful of people. Research in 2023 by Ipsos showed that 20% of the American population is saying that nothing they've tried to heal their gut has worked. That is a huge problem and shows that we need to step up our game when it comes to giving actual good gut health advice in the health industry, whether that's conventional or alternative medicine. In today's episode, I'm talking about what the actual problem is behind why these people aren't getting results from previous practitioners. And I'm also talking about what I think the solution should be for you, the consumer, trying to make better choices in your purchases so that you can avoid being burnt. That is our topic today. Is functional medicine dead? Let's talk about it. Hey friend, welcome to the Better Belly podcast. If you're currently trying endless supplements, doctor visits, and diet changes to heal your mystery symptoms, you are in the right place. We're here to solve the real root causes behind your gut, hormone, skin, sleep, and brain concerns, literally anything and everything in your body. My name is Allison Jordan. I'm a functional medicine practitioner that has supported over 150 clients just like you to heal problems that no one has been able to fix. You don't need a perfect diet or a random supplement you found on Instagram to heal. You need a proven system that heals your whole body from the inside out. That's what I'm here to share with you, episode by episode. It's time to make health easy again. And just as a reminder, this information is not meant to diagnose, manage, or treat disease. Always consult with your own health practitioner before you make any changes to your health. So before we jump into today's podcast episode, I also want to say that I know that for many of you and possibly you listening, maybe you're like, no one's ever failed me in functional medicine before. I just learned about it. And there are a lot of people who this is a totally new world and it's very exciting. So I hope you don't come into this with it sounds like me just shitting on on functional medicine and being like, this is horrible. But there's a lot of you who might be listening to, who've been listening to a lot of podcasts. Maybe it's mine, maybe it's other people's. You've been following a lot of people on Instagram. You've been seeing a lot of doctors. You've spent money to try and heal. You've bought a lot of supplements and it hasn't worked. And one of the projects I've been working on pretty much for the last maybe 2 years straight is talking about why I was not seeing this problem back in 2020 when I first started the Better Belly podcast. People were still a lot more hopeful, which I find almost ironic because we were in the middle of COVID, but I didn't run into as much comments from people saying I've already tried to heal my digestion. I've already done a parasite cleanse. I've already worked with somebody to try and find mold or whatever it was, and then I didn't get results. And that feels like an increasing pace of a problem. And so even if you're new to functional medicine, this still might just be helpful conversation to avoid that problem. Like if you can avoid a bad purchase where you don't get results, that's a win for everybody. So let's dive into talking about what the actual problem is. Why are people getting mixed or just bad results with people who say they do functional medicine? And the main thing that I summarize it as is that the problem is that there is no quality control in functional medicine. By quality control, I mean, let's say if you go to a GI doc at a conventional hospital, there's a lot of quality control, meaning they are taught in a very specific way through med school, a very, not inflexible, like they can never do something different, but fairly inflexible treatment pathway where someone comes in, they listen to their symptoms, and then they'll do a colonoscopy, they'll do an endoscopy. If those come up blank, they might send them to pelvic floor therapy or have them see a nutritionist to get a low FODMAP diet. Like there's going to be very systematic steps that most GI docs are going to take the exact same steps. That's why there's a lot of, as soon as I mention colonoscopy and endoscopy, most of the people who are having GI issues have seen a GI doc and have gotten one or both of those because it's such a common tool for a GI doc to use. But in functional medicine, there's a lot of different places teaching functional medicine. I'd actually say it's probably not necessarily all bad, but where someone's getting trained and how they're getting trained to do functional medicine can drastically change their perspective on things. And I do think that there are higher and lower qualities of functional medicine, which I would usually say, like, functional medicine, if you're like, what is this thing even? It is the application of medicine with the intent to find the root cause so that your body becomes functional on its own. It doesn't need supplements. It doesn't need a bunch of stuff to make it work, that it can actually work, it can function on its own. And the only way you can do that is find the root causes of what's going on. But bad functional medicine is not going to go deep enough in the root cause. And good functional medicine goes 3 to 5 to even 7 layers deeper to like what somebody says is root cause. And I'm going to give you some examples in just a minute of what someone might say, that's a root cause, and it's really not. And that's what can get problems for people. But before I share that, I also want to share that the lack of quality control in functional medicine is actually both bad and good. Hear me out, guys. It is bad, which I kind of already covered this, because almost anyone can call themselves a functional medicine practitioner, say they're searching for root causes, but they still are only looking on surface level items. And you don't think it's surface. You're wowed. You're like, wow, you found candida. Wow, you're going to give me digestive enzymes. This is mind-blowing. This should work. And they might show you on some labs, this shows that you have low magnesium. This shows you have low B12, and they go and give you supplements for those. And maybe you feel a little better, but it's not life-changing and you're stuck on the supplements. That's still super surface level. But initially it can seem very wow, bang, amazing. The reason it's good that there's actually limited quality control is because practitioners actually have freedom to try new things without limitations of a specific set of things that they're all supposed to do. So like GI docs, there's a lot of things that they're supposed to and expected to do, and hospitals might ping them or their colleagues might ping them if they're not doing that. But if you're in functional medicine, usually you're in private practice, meaning you're not in a hospital system, because hospital systems don't really support you enough to do that. There's a little bit extra wiggle room in systems like Mayo Clinic, but it's still really not the same as what functional medicine practitioners are doing in their private clinics. So because they have that freedom, they can play, experiment, and specialize in new and different ways. And that's going to create a lot more variety in when someone says, I'm a functional medicine practitioner. They could be doing very different and focusing on very different things than somebody else who says they're a functional medicine practitioner. One person might look at a lot at energetics and wavelengths and meditation, and another person's going to look at lots of blood work, and another person's going to look at a lot of functional labs like stool testing. Some people might rely on a ton of supplements. Some people might rely on homeopathy. There's just going to be a wide range of things that people are going to be trying and believing that's going to help people. But then bad again, this is where it really comes and kicks you, is that you or we, the consumers, we don't know what the heck we're buying and how to differentiate one practitioner from another simply from 2 words, functional medicine. It just sounds like, well, it should all be the same thing. But a really great example of this, if you're thinking of like, why is it this way? This sounds dumb. If you're annoyed with it for any reason, I want you to think of when you go to buy a laptop, laptops are not all the same. If someone says, I bought a new laptop, you generally know what they bought, but you don't know, for example, if they bought an Apple or a Microsoft. Those are 2 really different experiences. They generally are going to help you get onto the internet, write an email, maybe write up a document, do whatever you're doing on your computer. They're going to help you do that. But the operating system and their strengths and the user experience are going to be totally different. Additionally, it's not just Apple or Mac or Apple or Microsoft, it's I don't know, how much memory and RAM does it have? How fast does it go? How much processing speed does it have? How wide is the screen? Is it super tiny and light and portable? Is it bigger for, more screen real estate? How long is the battery life? These are where the details get into it. And that when you buy a laptop, no one usually needs to know all those details when you say I bought a laptop. But if you are buying the laptop, you might want to know those things because it can influence price and functionality at the end of the day. And so when you buy the laptop, if you're disappointed in how it works, maybe it works perfectly the way it was designed to, but you're like, well, the memory dies really fast. You're like, well, it was in there. It was in the description that the memory dies really fast. So I feel like the solution to this problem of people basically don't know what type of laptop they're buying, right? You don't know when you say functional medicine, there's not typically a lot of other words after it to clarify like what type of functional medicine are you doing, right? The solution to this is for practitioners who do functional medicine to be a lot more clear on how they work. Now, there's still a limitation because you still don't know, do you need what they do? But before I jump into that, I'm actually going to have a whole other episode on how to become more educated as a buyer so you can have a higher success rate when you do go to work with someone who's doing functional medicine. I just want to give some examples on how other people practice very, very common things I'm seeing in functional medicine that other people are doing that in my practice in the Better Belly Blueprint, which is the main way that I'm working with clients, where I actually have a process that I have tested and we get reliable, reproducible results for problems like constipation, acid reflux, bloating, diarrhea, hormone imbalance, PCOS, rheumatoid arthritis, fibromyalgia, Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis. It is so applicable to all of these things. And I want to give you an example of how people can differ pretty different and talk about how you go from surface level functional medicine to really, really deep, really fast. And I'm going to give you podcast episodes from this podcast to point you, if you're like, wait, Allison, tell me more about that. I'm just going to give you a podcast episode you can go listen to that dives deeper into that topic so you can understand it a little better. You guys ready? Okay, so other practitioners commonly will give digestive enzymes. But what I do in my program is I help you heal your body's own ability to make digestive enzymes. The three main digestive enzymes we're working with is stomach acid, bile, and pancreatic enzymes. And the two that you can improve the most are going to be stomach acid. And to learn more about that, how do you rebuild your stomach acid levels? How do you know if you need to do that? Go to episode 40, Reduce Acid Reflux with the Magic Power of Zinc. And that episode I am putting in the show notes. All the episodes I'm about to mention, I am putting in the show notes. So don't feel like you have to memorize all these. They will be waiting for you. And I am putting them in the show notes in the order that they are mentioned. All right. So number one's Reduce Acid Reflux with the Magic Power of Zinc, where I talk about how to rebuild your stomach acid. Another one is going to be bile production. And the main way you increase bile production is to support the liver. Also supporting gallbladder, but supporting liver is often primary to that, unless you have a blocked gallbladder, in which case I would talk about how you want to release your gallbladder with visceral manipulation. So go to episode 118 called Liver, the number one thing you can do to ease bloating and PMS, because the liver has a high correlation with those two problems, as long with many other problems like waking up in the middle of the night. So highly recommend those two episodes. All right, so here's another example. Someone will say, we found candida on you. We're going to treat your candida. And they put you on a candida diet, or maybe they do the diet and they give you supplements, or maybe it's just supplements. And then very frequently, the candida grows back. You wait 3 months, 6 months, a year after working with this person, and you're still getting the symptoms that you now recognize as, these were my symptoms when I had candida. Very severe bloating that gets worse throughout the day until the evening. You start out with a flat belly in the morning. You have a big bloated belly in the evening. That's one example. Sugar cravings, etc. You can learn more about candida and how to actually get to the root cause, because candida is actually a symptom. Candida is not a root cause by any means. Candida, we all have candida in us, and if it's overgrowing, it's because the natural weed whackers of our body are not weed whacking. So instead, what we do in our program is we treat what caused candida. And I talk about exactly what this looks like in episode 149 for the 4-step natural candida treatment. it's also, I have in front of it, it'll say the Candida episode, episode 149. And you can learn more about, wow, how do you actually get to the root cause of Candida? What are the root causes? If you want to learn about that, go check out that episode. Another one, they might give you a motility supplement. If you have SIBO, if you have constipation, those are two common reasons that someone would say, well, your motility is really slow, food's not moving through you. Here's a motility supplement. By the way, sometimes those will work, and it's pretty cool when they do, but they are not solving anything. They do not get your body to have its own motility again. And sometimes they will work initially and then stop working. I actually see that a lot in my clients who are struggling with constipation. So how do you actually heal your gut's motility? There's a lot of layers to it. And I realized I don't have a full episode on it, but the episode I would point you first to is episode 90. It's called Fascia 101, the hidden force behind bloating and constipation. But motility isn't just your fascia. It's also things like stomach acid, which you can go check out that episode 40 that I mentioned about zinc, helping reduce acid reflux, microbial balance. There's pathogens involved. Like if you have mold toxicity, and most people don't think they do, but there's a way to test for it. If you have it, mold actually damages what we call the myoenteric plexus, which is literally the nerves of your gut. It is trying to paralyze them. Because that makes it easier to kill something. It makes it easier to track something down and kill it if it's paralyzed. So you want to be looking at poor motility is usually not one problem. It's multiple things. It could be low sodium and low potassium, overuse of magnesium, which can drain sodium, potassium, the fascial component, which go check out episode 90, my Fascia 101 episode. And that one, I now realize I need probably its own episode. So I'll be doing that. Do follow this podcast, subscribe so you can hear that episode coming up. But that's one big difference. Motility does matter, yes, but you can't fix it with a supplement. You need several steps to it. All right. So another thing is a lot of people clients I have them come to me after they worked with someone else, they have been put on lifelong extreme food restrictions that are not healing their gut. And instead, in our program, we actually use a method to heal your food sensitivities, reduce them. So I share about that in episode 134, how to decrease food sensitivities and heal leaky gut in 3 steps. Another one is people often walk away from those practitioners on these lifelong supplements, which they don't know, and they feel like every time they go off them, they feel worse. The way we use supplements is like a cast, so that you are healing what you need to heal. Like you have to put the cast on, but it's temporary. And you're able to, we talk about when you get to take off the cast and how to know it'll be okay, and then how to do it in a safe way so that your symptoms don't come back. So I don't have an episode on that. It's more of my methodology. So inside the Better Belly Blueprint, just to know, you should be asking someone, are people getting off of supplements by the time they're done working with you? If you're interviewing a practitioner, or if you're looking through their website, or you're looking through their marketing, if you're trying to figure out however you're interacting and getting that data, ask them, are people getting off of supplements, or are they on them forever? All right, I've got four more differences. Number one, a lot of other practitioners completely ignore the reality of visceral adhesions, which are actual soft tissue restrictions between organs and other tissue in your body, which can cause everything from neck pain and back pain to the organ just not functioning. And that could be your liver, your heart, your lung, your colon, things that have to do with digestion, things that have to do with breathing, can cause all sorts of problems. So in our program, we both find and treat visceral adhesions. I teach you how to know if you have one, where to find someone who can help you do this if doing the self-care techniques yourself are not enough. And I talk about that more in episode 90, Fascia 101, the hidden force behind bloating and constipation, which I already mentioned a little. It is very relevant. Another one is they will often say that food alone can heal you. You just need to get you on the right diet. Let's do the low FOD map. And a lot of times they come to me and they're on 10 foods and they feel horrible. That's because food alone can't heal you. And if you have a problem in your body, there's food is at most 20% of the problem. You need to address the rest of the 80%. And if you don't, you can actually grow your food sensitivity list because the gut keeps getting damaged because you're not addressing the root cause. The episode I recommend to learn more about that is episode 126, the 5 common causes of constipation behind food or beyond food. And I know I mentioned constipation. So if you are dealing with that, that's a great episode for you. But even if you're not, this is super relevant because I do talk about the 5 things that are going to go on in your body other than food sensitivities. All right. Another similar idea is I see a lot of practitioners saying that food can detox you, and it's like not true, but it is usually not powerful enough, and sometimes can come with problems. Like broccoli can help detox the liver, but if you can't break broccoli down because it's high in low FODMAPs or it's high in fiber, then you can't eat it. And so now you need a different way to detox the liver. So you can run into a lot of problems. And usually it's not a high enough or potent enough level. And you need more than just broccoli. You need a lot of other components of things to help detox the liver. And so I do not recommend green smoothies, etc., to heal. And instead, we use the science of the 7 detox organs to help detox you. There's 7 of them. I go into them in the podcast. It's actually a series of 7 episodes, and the very first episode of that series is episode 103, Detoxing is Not a Green Smoothie. And I go into why food can't detox you. Usually enough, like I don't rely on it. I just don't. I see that clients run into more problems. They're getting more toxins in them when they're using food. They're having inflammatory reactions. Food is just not strong enough. It's not quality enough. So the last thing is that a lot of practitioners, when you work with them, there's a limited time that you can work with them. So they work with you. Maybe it's every time you see them, you have to pay a fee. It's one session at a time, one appointment at a time, or it's a 3 to 6 month, commitment, or a 12-month commitment, but then you have to pay again. In our program, because our clients so consistently get results in 3 to 6 months, we make it a lifetime program. And if you have a question 12 months later, 2 years later, just like something happens and you pop into the Facebook group or our group coaching calls to be like, hey, everything's been great. This weird thing happened. Curious to know your thoughts on this, etc. You can just jump in and do that. There's no more nickeling and diming you for support because we have that relationship with you and we can maintain it. And we get maybe 10 to maybe 20 would be on the high side of our clients end up having 2 problems that take more than 6 months to address. And that's just because they take time, man. They take time. And that's mold and Lyme. And if you have mold or Lyme that you're dealing with, then you also don't get nickeled and dimed because you're sicker. Maybe you could say sicker than somebody else in the program who doesn't have it. You literally are just not going to get charged more. So we have a lifetime guarantee for the lifetime of the program. You are going to be able to join biweekly group coaching calls and get questions answered one-to-one by a coach in our Facebook group Monday through Friday. Lots and lots of support. If you want to learn more about how to do that, I don't have an episode, but I do have a free training for you. You can go to betterbellytherapies.com/training, learn more about our program, my main program, the Better Belly Blueprint, and how it's working for our clients, why it's different. Here's some more testimonials from our clients who've gone through the program and had amazing success, from everything from hormone balancing to constipation to diarrhea to fatigue. We've had clients deal with so many things, eczema, and I want you to be able to be that way too, right? You're not stuck. Functional medicine, I don't think is dead. I just think it's a little confused, and we just need to make it more clear and be more upfront as practitioners about how we help you. So I don't know. What do you think? Do you still trust functional medicine? Do you feel like you trust it more after this episode? I would love to hear what you think. You can come follow me on Instagram at Better Belly Therapies for more modern conversations in gut health. We just need more updated conversations that are not the same pieces of advice to eat fiber and drink more water and take magnesium. If you're ready for that, come follow me on Instagram where I'm active typically daily, Monday through Friday. And be sure to subscribe to the Better Belly podcast so you can get all of our upcoming episodes. And the last thing, guys, if I have not given you enough resources already to heal, go to betterbellytherapies.com/getthevault. That's dashes, get-the-vault. And you can literally get a catalog of all of the Better Belly Therapies episodes because you guys, there are a lot, but I have them organized by acid reflux, constipation, brain fog, detoxing, food sensitivities, functional medicine, gut health, IBS, mindset problems, testimonials, pregnancy. There's so many amazing categories, and you can get this list. Literally, you just save the link once you get it, and we're always updating it. So go to betterbellytherapies.com/get-the-vault, and you can get the vault sent straight to your inbox. Hey friend, I hope you loved this episode. If you've been a fan for a while or newly loving this podcast, can you do me a favor? Drop into Apple Podcasts and leave me a review. When you leave a review, you do so much. You help me know you're listening, you can tell me what you're loving so I know what to make more of, and you help others by boosting this podcast so other people like you can find the podcast too. I mean, it's a win-win-win, right? So if you want a way to pay it forward, just go to Apple Podcasts or click the link in my show notes and leave a rating and review. And if you want some more free stuff, just head over to my free Facebook group, betterbellytherapies.com/Facebook, and you can get access to all of my free support for you, including some Facebook group exclusive stuff like my podcast episode vault, where you can search the Better Belly podcast by topic and find exactly what you need to expedite your healing. I cannot wait to see you in there. Catch you guys next week.